Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got myself into this one. You see, I'm currently on an adventure to start training up my mining skill, but the only place that I can do that is in this mine right here, south of Varrock. Not a big deal, it's a chunk that I recently unlocked. There's just this really minor issue of there being a river in between me and that mine, where the only way for me to cross that river is either a bridge in chunks that I don't have access to, or these stepping stones that require 31 agility to cross. And that brings us back to this mess. This stone, giving 1 experience per time that I fall off it, or 3 experience per time that I actually make it across, is my only way to train agility all the way up to level 31, which I need to cross the stepping stones toward that Varrock mine. This is ChunkWizard. He wants to explore the entire map of RuneScape, but what he doesn't know is that the map is divided up into chunks, and he needs to do every task within a chunk before he's allowed to move on to the next one. So come with me as ChunkWizard explores RuneScape 1 chunk at a time. Today is going to be a full day of editing, more or less. I'm going to be mostly editing episode 13. This task here, just clicking back and forth across this rock, is too click intensive to do while I'm also editing things. This is just not something that I can do during a day of any type of work. So while I've made it to level 14, and I'm probably going to just keep going until level 15 before I actually get started with working on that edit, we need to find something else to do as an AFK activity. And that means I have to do some sort of combat for my AFKing. There's 2 things that I can do. You can see I've loaded myself out with some magic gear, and I've brought a good amount of runes. Killing this Black Knight 29,000 times turns out pretty good way of farming runes. Well, it's not, because it takes 29,000 kills to get the amount of runes that you see here. Once those have run out though, I need to either focus on getting more runes, or I need to go kill something else that I can AFK at. And which one that's gonna be, I guess we'll figure out as we get to that. But right here, we have the giant frogs. Please relight this candle. And we did fight these a little last episode, and I figured out, yeah, I'm not strong enough for these at all. So how big are these? Are these 2x2? These are 2x2, so if I just stand here, this should be a safe spot, because this is a 1x1 area. Let's just pick my spell. I will attack you, move back a tile, and I think I'm safe here. I think this is a safe. Yeah, it is. I'm going to untag them because this is really ugly, and they do die relatively quickly. I'm gonna go on defensive casting, because I do still want defense experience more than I want magic experience right now. And my max hit is a 15. And I'm hitting pretty accurately because they have a 25% weakness to earth spells, and they also have just no defense. The reason that I'm here is because they drop nature runes, which I'm gonna need a lot of, and they also drop the long bone and the curved bone, which both of those are chunk tasks. Maybe that wasn't the best AFK activity, because I kinda died. Turns out if you click on a thing and you don't actually run into the safe spots immediately, and you look away to go do something else, you die if you fight something that's level 99. No big deal though, we can just fall off and have to relight our candle. I did need to buy a new candle, which is insanely expensive, but I can just loot my grave, and there's nothing really that's that bad about this. So 1,000 casts becomes 100 nature runes. That's not too bad, but also for the amount of nature runes that I might need, maybe not reasonable either. And I'm officially out of air runes. It's taken me hundreds of hours to stock up runes to get to the point where I was, and then it took me about an hour to use them all up. I did, however, realize that I still have some range supplies, and I don't think I have anything better in terms of ranged armor than the leather body that I just got. And honestly, now that I think about it, I probably want to be on long ranged. because this gives me defense experience, and that's what I really care about the most. In the end, what I need is just as many ways as possible to get going on that defense grind, man. I need to get this to 99 as soon as possible. I do wonder if these little pillars down here also can serve as a save spot for me. Like, if I just do this, this also works as a save spot, and I probably can just more easily go back and forth here. Let's see how many arrows I end up losing off of this. Alright, that kill took, I think, a little over 3 minutes, and picking up the arrows. I don't know exactly how many arrows, but I've got 2,000, so let's just see how far that gets me. At this point, I'm close to getting 6 hour logs. I just finished editing episode 13 of this very series, and I've gone through about 2/3 or so of my steel knives. Already up to level 18 now, which means that I'm at about 3,500 experience through this grind. And let me real quick turn the light back on. That's about 1/4 the way through to 14,000 XP, which is roughly what I need for level 31. Added to that, the fact that I already have 3 experience lamps in my inventory, which I've kind of made the decision that I'm going to use these XP lamps on agility, because this is tedious, man. If I wait until level 30 to use these, that's a total of another 900 experience, which means that about 1/4 of my experience is still gonna come from XP lamps. A nice round level 20, which is also about 1/3 the way through to my eventual goal. Now that I've reached level 20, I felt like it's a good moment to fall into the swamp water, but also to reset my little XP tracker and figure out if my XP per hour is notably improved over what I was getting at level 1, which is the last time I really looked at that thoroughly. At level 1, I was getting 5 to maybe 600 XP per hour, just due to the amount of failures. I'm actually really happy and kind of lucky that even if you fail this, you still get 1 experience, because if that wasn't the case, this would be significantly more painful. Looking at my current XP rate, going off about 10 minutes or so of just jumping back and forth, but 10 minutes is quite a lot of action, so that sample size isn't as small as it might seem. I'm now at about 900. It's going up to 950 now because I had some good luck just now. Before I started recording this clip, it was more like 880. So I found a friend today. Somebody ran into me doing this, and it feels a little awkward. I wonder what his agility level is, because he didn't fall in like at all, I don't think. Did you ever think you'd meet someone here? Hell no. I had honestly resigned myself to not seeing another living human being for weeks. After being constantly seen by people killing Black Knights, RuneScape players are something else, man. But he just stopped his Slayer task to come join me doing this. While talking to my new best friend here, I got a pheasant event. Apparently I wasn't recording that bit, but I got a pheasant event, so I now have a 4th experience lamp. It's really quite inspiring, in a way, having someone watch me do this very stupid thing. I mean, all of you guys are watching me do this very stupid thing, but you're not standing around in real time watching me do this. You'll see in a couple of clips of me doing this across 20 hours. It's a little different, but I still appreciate you as well. Having people run into me doing stupid stuff is also kind of part of the fun of this, right? Even aside from the fact that as an Iron Man, you couldn't even cheat on this kind of stuff if you wanted to. I suppose I could just run off and go train agility somewhere else and tell you that I did it here. But then I wouldn't run into people like this that are like, what the hell are you doing? I just reached level 22 a couple moments ago, and now I'm getting warned about my second 6-hour log of the day. I just want to point out that if I had access to the Drainer rooftop course, which is right outside of the chunks, by the way, I'm level 23, I'm halfway there. The chunk just north of Drainer Village is what I need in order to unlock that. The XP rate for that is about 10k per hour, meaning that I only need to do that for an hour and a half to get to the goal that I want to get to. Another day of work, another day of AFKing. I'm most of the way through all my knives, so I'm now falling back on the cursed goblin bow again, and it is unbearably slow, which Again, for AFKing isn't that big a deal, but it does mean that I have a lot more arrows despawn. I just saw somebody run past here and into this tunnel, and I'm gonna be real with you. I've been standing here for hours on end. I also just got another XP lamp. Nice. But I never realized that there's a tunnel here. I wonder if that's something that I can enter. Oh! It gets me to this area. That is interesting. I don't know if I can do anything with Tears of Guthix. I kind of doubt it. You do not need all the requirements to start a Tears of Guthix quest. Yeah, you need more quest points, I assume. I'm gonna be real. I don't think I've ever actually entered that tunnel, because whenever I do bother with Tears of Guthix, I use a Games Necklace teleport, and whenever I go kill tormented demons, I use a Guthixian temple teleport, so I've never actually walked to this location. As at the end of a day of work, I'm clearing out my inventory a little bit at the bank to get ready for a little bit more just jumping across that lovely little stone for a handful of hours tonight. Well, we've got the first one of the collection logs. I've got the longbone, which is a chunk task complete. There's only 1 in 400 chance, the 1 in 5,000. Obviously, still haven't gotten that. And that is officially halfway there at level 24. 7 levels to go. And before we move on with this second half of this grind, I've got something that I want to do up at Draenor Village Bank. So give me a moment and I'm gonna find my way up there and we'll do a thing. Because aside of just storing this longbone as a trophy rather than burying it, because it feels nice to just keep it, you know. I also want to take a look at these mystery boxes. I've gotten 5 of them that I have not yet opened because I didn't want to bog down my inventory with potential XP lamps. But now, I do want to know how many XP lamps I'm actually working with. I want to know how much of this agility grind I can skip. So I'm going to switch over to a free-to-play world because that gives me better odds for an experienced lamp. And now I should have a 1 in 6 chance for each one of these to get an XP lamp. So the first one's a diamond, second one's a flyer, third one's also a flyer, an experience lamp. There we go. At least that's 1. Can we go for 2? We cannot go for 2. And that is level 25. Moving on to level 26. Oh, that's a good one. I'm getting a dunce event, which means that I'm actually getting a lamp and a half. This is now roughly 2,500. And of course, a failure to get me to level 27. Since I've been at this for a few hours now, gained a couple of levels, meaning my success rate is just a little bit higher again, I decided to reset my XP tracker one more time for today and see what my current up-to-date XP per hour is. And it's gone from about 820 to right about 1,000 XP per hour actually. So that's a pretty notable increase still. Of course, it's always a failure on level up, but we've got level 29, which means that I'm going to start putting these into agility, not smithing. Gotta be careful there. And see how far this gets us. Probably not all the way to 31, but I imagine that is going to get me most of the way there. Technically, I could do this for a little bit longer, just jumping back and forth and seeing where I end up. And then lastly, the Book of Knowledge, which is going to be a bigger jump. And then we've only got 300 experience to go. And finally, we're at level 31. So let's leave this place and never ever come back. Let's dump everything into the bank. And did I get a bronze pickaxe as well? I did. Good. I was kind of afraid that I might have not banked any bronze pickaxes and I would only have a steel one. But I don't need to go get any more bronze pickaxe. We can just go ahead and do the mining. I can even wield this one. Now, I do wonder. These do give the same experience per success as the one down in Lumbridge Swamp. But I do have to click on them individually, right? Is there any chance of me failing halfway through? There is. Okay, so the odds of me just failing at some point going through is pretty big. But I don't have to relight a candle. I do get damaged, however. So this is probably still not a better experience per hour. Or maybe if I bring a few wines. This is worth checking out if at any point I need to train my agility before getting the rooftop course. We also got a bush patch. You can start doing some farming as well pretty soon. Before we do that though, I'm just going to be mining some tin and a little bit of clay. As I'm now able to mine iron, I have a little bit of coal in the bank, I can make steel bars. But for that, we need to get to level 2, and then level 5, and then I think there's a level 15. We're up to level 3 already. To save you having to listen to me saying the numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6, we're going toward the bank now to get our steel pickaxe because we're level 6. Damn it, I said it anyway. I think with us starting the mining grind, and it's going to be a grind that we'll be at for a while, it is a good idea to do a little crash course on how pickaxes work in this game. You see, mining an ore has two elements to it. Your success rate and the amount of times that you check that success rate. The success rate is a combination of which level you are and which rock you're mining. A lower level rock will have a better success rate at any given level than a higher level rock, and this is just a percentage. 10%, 20%, all the way up to actually 100% in some cases with some kinds of rocks. The amount of times you get to roll that chance is dependent on the pickaxe that you have. The bronze pickaxe, which we had to use from level 1 to 6, checks this chance every 8 ticks. So whatever percentage chance we have at the current rock with our current level, we get to check that once every 4.8 seconds. Now that we can use a steel pickaxe, we're not checking that every 8 ticks, we're checking that every 6 ticks. It doesn't change the percentage chance that we succeed mining a rock, it just gives us more rolls of that same chance. Meaning that over an average period of time, we will be getting more ores. Because now we're checking every 3.6 seconds. If we were able to go all the way up to a rune pickaxe, which we're not, but we would be able to go down to a 3-tick cycle instead. Still the same percentage chance, but now we're just checking that every 1.8 seconds. And if nothing else, that means that the last part of our mining and smithing grind, which is going to be happening in Falador at some point in the future, will be a little less painful than all the things that we're going to need to do to even get out of this chunk to begin with. I wonder if I have anything that I can use to tick manipulate. I'm not super familiar with tick manipulation, so I'm just reading up on the wiki, and all the examples that it gives me, I don't think I can do. A couple of the examples that the wiki gives is swamp tarm and clean low-level herb, together with a pestle and mortar. I don't have any of that aside from the swamp tar. Teak or mahogany logs and a knife. Have the knife, don't have the logs. Cabot claws, definitely not. Moonlight antelope, definitely not. Eating most food. Well, that's interesting. I don't think that really helps me. We're getting close to 15. Which is what I need for these little rocks over here, and that's the goal for now. Kind of disgusting that my mining XP rates at level 11 here, just mining tin, and this very much includes me running back and forth to the bank one time, is 4 to 5 times as high as my entire agility method was. Mining isn't going to stay particularly fast, but then again, I've gotten used to experience rates of 200 to 500 XP per hour, so hell, maybe even mithril and adamant mining are going to feel fast comparatively. Level 13? Just let me have this, okay? It just feels good to be getting levels that aren't an hour apart, even this early on in the leveling journey. It's not going to last very long. We're going to be moving on to iron in a moment here, and then eventually coal, and things are going to stagnate real quick from there. And finally, we're at level 15, so let's drop the remainder of our tin ore, and we can start doing some iron ore mining, which this I'll actually want to keep, because I need some iron ore to smelt into steel. Oh, we got a sapphire. That's going to be happening every so often as well. And there is a crashed star, which, by the way, I'm not considering stars as part of my chunk task, because that means that the moment you have a chunk with a star spawn position in it, you just need to get level 90, which is kind of dumb. That said, we're going to get to level 99 mining anyway within this chunk, because I need to get to level 88 smithing, and the mining experience that I get for the ores that I need to get to that smithing level will just get me there in the first place. Taking mithril as an example, smelting and smithing a mithril bar combined gives 80 experience. Mining a single mithril ore also gives 80 experience, so that is exactly the same, right? Except for a mithril bar, I also need 4 coal, which all give 50 mining experience each. So I'm getting 200 more mining experience per bar than I'm getting smithing experience. Which means that I'm getting mining experience in a ratio to smithing experience at a 3.5 to 1 rate. Getting to level 88 is going to take about 4.3 million smithing experience. So if I multiply that by about 3.5, I'm going to get to 15 million mining experience. That is beyond level 99. So whether or not I consider mining stars a chunk task or not, it doesn't really matter, because I'm going to get 99 mining as a byproduct of my grind. As I was saying, we now have some iron ore, and I still have a good bit of coal from random events. A couple of the frog kills dropped some coal. So if I get these at a 2 to 1 ratio, which I believe would be about 7 of these, alongside with some fire runes and some nature runes, you can see that I definitely am gonna need a lot more fire runes. I've been stocking up some amount of nature runes. This should be enough to get me through what I need to get through. Get some coal out as well. I can superheat item, and this should just make it into steel. Yes. And I need to manually smelt every single one with a click. At least it's also decent magic experience at the same time. That's kind of cool. And that's given me 7 steel bars. 7 steel bars at the Black Knight, which was the method I was doing before. Probably would have taken about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So definitely some progress there. And this is the reason that I need a disgusting amount of runes, because I need to do this to get through to level 50 to start smelting mithril. But then I need to do this all the way through to level 70 with mithril. And through to level 88 with, I did not mean to do that, level 88 with adamant. We'll take into consideration how we're going to be tackling that in the next video, as it becomes much more of a problem with starting a mithril grind. But hey, we got a magic level, and that's all the iron ore I have for now. I still have some amount of coal left over, but I'm going to be running out of fire runes relatively quickly, so that's something that I need to take care of. But before we worry about that, let's process the steel bars that we have gotten just now. And yeah, my XP per hour is 12,000 for smithing. I haven't seen anything even remotely close to that. My XP per hour for the past 500 hours of grinding this skill has been 200 to 250. And I guess we're going to just stick with the knives, because there's no real reason for me not to, I suppose. And just like that, something that would have taken me literally about a day while doing Black Knight, getting this amount of progress from level 49 to 50, honestly, it's only taken me a handful of minutes here. This fire and nature rune problem is something that we're going to need to solve. What the hell are you talking about the Epstein files in my video? We're going to need to solve this rune issue as soon as possible, because we need a disgusting amount of both of these types of runes before we even worry about being able to mine and then smith the ores and bars that we're working with here. And there's a lot of ways that we can approach that, and there's a lot of things that we can say and do about that, and we're going to be figuring all that out in the next episode.